So we're going to take a look at some boot knives and discuss some boot knife carry concepts and ideas, theory, ideology, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has their own opinion of what they think the perfect boot knife is, and personally I think if it's what you love and you feel comfortable carrying it, that's what's important. I don't think there's really like a holy grail boot knife. I mean, perhaps there is, but I know for me, I just look for certain things when I carry a boot knife. But I put these up here. These are going to be my two top picks for me. I'm going to show you guys those. But regardless of whether it's a high dollar boot knife or more of an affordable one like this one here. This is a China version of the Boker knife, and when I initially got this, I was just checking for the grind lines. If the grind lines are centered, I'm okay. I can't handle, sometimes I'll look at these cheaper daggers and I kind of look at the grind lines. If they got decent grind lines, I might purchase one, check it out. This one I'm pretty happy with because even though it is cheap stainless steel, I will say that, it's got a nice razor sharp edge and it's very pointy. The blade thickness is thinner, and for what a boot knife does, and actually any combat knife, they're designed for that one time that you need it the most, one time to save your life. You're going to deploy it and utilize it. And so if we get a fairly decent edge on there, it's going to perform for us. And this one has a pretty decent edge on it, actually. And it's very pointy. And for the price you put into it, but this thing, some guys would feel like this is too big. So if we look at this, let's just measure this for a minute. The blade, 5.5 inch blade. It's got a nice grip on it, 4.5. It's very grippy. Like I said, it's just a copy of that Boker. The Boker makes one of these. It's pretty pricey knife. They're around 200, 250 bucks. And what's crazy, you guys know as well as I do, all these knives are starting to really go up in price. Not this one, but some of your collectible ones are. But this would be one that I wouldn't mind just throwing into a bug out bag. If you lose this, you're not out a lot. So I like getting I like getting a lot of nice higher end knives, boot knives or whatnot. But I also like I try to select some really cool lower price range stuff, because those are the type of ones I can throw on my my 3-day pack or my bug out bag. If something happens to them, like I said, you're not out a lot of money. But these are vintage. These are pretty cool. This is an Explorer. This is the 21054K model. This is their longest version. That was the vintage. Yeah, it was the vintage. Let me measure the blade here. So we got 4.5 inch blade. To me, I want a blade that's around 4.5 inch mark. Some people say nothing over 4 inches. To me, a 3.5 inch dagger is only going to piss somebody off. You want to get some type of penetration, especially if you're using it to defend your life. You need that thing to penetrate. So I look for something that's got a nice initial razor sharp edge, and it has a menacing point. And so I like around the 4.5 inch blade length. So I just want to show you something here. This is actually one of my favorite ones. I did a video on this knife. This is the Smith & Wesson SFW 606. This is really cool because we have the blade profile. Isn't that blade profile just killer looking? It's got the double choll with the integral guard as part of the blade, full tang. But what's neat is we've got about 4.5 inches, a little over 4.5 inch blade length. I love the handle on this. It's got G10 micarta, and that's you know, around 4 inches. But I love the way they design this. It's shorter, so you can, you know, they gave you length here for penetration, shorten the handle length up to make it, you know, a little more concealable. I think they really knocked this one out of the park. This one has been my favorite. I tell everybody about this. It's just a really cool boot knife, because I feel like when you deploy that in a self-defense situation, that thing's going to get the job done. I mean, these things have 8 CR13. It's got the molybdenum, I believe that's how you pronounce that mineral, that element, and it's got the vanadium in there. The vanadium, you know, I don't claim to be no steel expert. I've done a lot of study on it. I've made knives and this and that, but vanadium, anytime you put vanadium in a steel, it just helps you, it helps the carbon to maintain that sharp edge. But these come initially with just like a razor sharp edge. Man, the blade profile is just super pointy. That's going to penetrate. You've got the link there. It's just a really cool knife. It doesn't come with this sheath. I put it in this SOG sheath. It comes with a neat little boot knife leather sheath. But for the price, they're around 35, 40 bucks. I don't think you can beat this. It's just, this one is also going to be one of my top choices. You guys, I think I had a video on this on my last one. This is the SOG S14. And so if we look at blade length, see, this one's almost 5 inches. So you really need that blade length, and you need that penetration. You know, these things need to be pointy. This one's razor sharp. It's got the AUS, you know, I believe this one's AUS 8 stainless steel. And there's enough carbon in here. You know, don't think that these are not deadly just because they're stainless steel. There's plenty of carbon. They come razor sharp. You don't really use them as a utility knife. They're at the ready. They should always remain at the ready with that razor sharp blade, that nice point for when you need it. To me, I'm not going to take a boot knife and I'm not going to use it as a utility knife. They're not really designed for that. They're designed for that one time that you need it to save your life. That's what a backup boot knife is. This one is pretty cool. I think I showed you that one. Okay, this one is just like that one's vintage. This is the Explorer. Has a tonneau blade. This one would be one, I don't even know if I would classify this as a boot knife. It's more of like a little small utility knife, fixed blade. But you could carry it as a backup knife, you know, for sure. It's got it around, let's see, a little over a 4-inch blade. It's a 4.25 inch blade. This one would get the job done. It's razor sharp, and got a nice edge. The secret about these 420, 425 modified, these stainless steel that have the lower carbon content, if you know how to sharpen that secondary cutting edge, you know how to get it centered. I've got some videos on here, go check them out. I'll show you how to really hone in on your secondary cutting edge to get that cutting edge centered, to get it what I call the combat ready, and then it's ready to deploy and use when you need it. That's a neat little tonneau. I showed you guys this Sangrador. I want to show it to you again. It's a pretty cool knife. It's kind of long, got a long handle, but when you're in combat and you've got gloves on, I think you're going to need that, because most guys are in this design was really, you know, this Dagger was designed to carry for military guys and operators on their LBE or their, you know, their loadout vest, stuff like that. So when you have tactical gloves on, you really need a handle like this to be able to, you know, grip it. So it's got a really nice handle on it. It's got some good length there. It's got your Blackie Collins style integral guard, and it's got a really pretty long blade on it. It's 5.5 inch blade, and that's going to penetrate. I would have liked to seen this Dagger have a little bit different. To me, it has kind of a wasp style blade point profile there, spear point. I would have rather seen it just not beveled like that, just kind of more of a a gradual slant where you've got more penetration. I think you guys know what I mean. I don't even know if I'm describing it right, but if you take this knife, I mean, look at the tip difference. This is going to really penetrate. I think this will penetrate as well, but to me, I would rather have it, the blade profile like that. That's just me. But it's still a nice knife. I think for tactical guys that are decked out with gear and stuff, this one is going to do you a great job. Just, you know, so I think it's fine. If I can get them back in the right sheath. There we go. Pay attention there, Snowman. Pay attention. Attention to detail, right? So we'll get this guy back in his right sheath there. And you know, you got these, this one is like a Kershaw copy. You guys probably, if you look up, the Kershaw makes this knife that's called the Trooper. They're pretty pricey. This is a Valor. It's almost the exact same boot knife, made out of 440 stainless. And see how the blade is shorter? This is going to be a nice little boot knife because it's got that blade length, shorter handle, and you got 5-inch blade length there. Like I said, I like my blade length between 4.5, 5 inches is fine for me. I'm not a real big fan of little boot knives that are, you know, 3.5 inches. So these are going to be cool. This is, like I said, you can find these. This is made by Valor. It's a copy of that Trooper boot knife, which is pretty pricey. As long as it's got a good, nice point on it, it's got a good, nice. This one is razor sharp too, and that's going to get the job done for you as well. This one is just a vintage. I believe this is a United knot. Yeah, it is. Made in Taiwan. Still a cool little boot knife. And I really dig those too that are like this. So it's just all a matter of personal preference. I want to show you guys this. This is a little boot knife that I made by hand out in my shop. I made this out of aero grade titanium. And even though I've preached 3 over 4 inches, well, I tried to get this at the 4.5 mark, but it's actually 4.25. I wish the blade would have came out like 4 3/4 or something. I'm gonna try to make another one of these, and I need to get the blade longer. But I love that I do a blade profile like that where it's got a hypodermic type tip, and this is really thin titanium. It's going to really penetrate, and I did a Blackie Collins style, you know, handle on it. But it's one of the shorter ones I have. This is a cheap United. What I do is I take these, if it's kind of an inexpensive dagger, I'll make sure I get a nice, really menacing point on it. Just make sure it's sharpened up. I'll take it out to my belt grinder that I sharpen knives with a nice 220 and then a 400 grit. And then I get that nice point on it. So just for what it is, and like I said, if you lose something like this, you're not out a lot of money. But this is gonna work. I mean, just because these little daggers are not very expensive doesn't make them any less lethal. This one's a little over 4.5 inches long. As long as you got a nice, decent, sharp edge on there with a really nice point, it's going to work for you. So it's all a matter of what you want to carry. That's got a neat little carry, you know, plastic insert case that locks. I've showed you guys this one. I love this vintage one. This is the Gerber, and this has a really cool, ingenious locking mechanism on there. But this is the TAC 1, TAC 2. These are totally cool, and it's got the blade length on there. It's got the you know, of course, the integral guard by Blackie Collins, 5 1/4 inch blade. This is razor blade stainless steel, and very pointy. As long as it's got a really menacing point, it's got a nice sharp edge, I'm pretty much good to go. I can make anything work, but I think this is one of the coolest boot knives ever designed right here. But this one, it's kind of bulky, you know, even though it's nice, you know, it's got your military type clips here for attaching to a web belt. It's a little bit on the bulky side and the big side for a boot knife, you know. So guys, I just wanted to do a little video here and just talk a little bit about boot knives and give you a little bit of my 2 cents on them. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I will catch you guys on the next one.